Yeah. Ashish, can you just briefly introduce Alpana very briefly and we can continue with it? Yeah.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us in this session of Let's Walk Together's peer mentorship uh, sessions that we hold regularly. We have Alpana Sawant again with us, and for those of you who have attended the earlier sessions, you might know about her and how about her expertise in psychology and workplace and a lot of other things. So, Alpana, over to you without wasting any time. Uh, take it from here, and you can please introduce yourself, and we can start.
Yeah, thanks, Ashish. Thanks so much. And thank you, Vijayji, also for giving me this opportunity. And of course, thank you everyone for joining in for this session and making time for it on a weekend. My name is Alpana, and I am a psychotherapist, a counselor, and I have an experience of about 18 years in this field. I work primarily in the corporate sector, where I conduct a lot of wellness trainings and also do counseling for employees and their families. Today's session, like Ashish said, the topic that we have picked, people skills at workplace, right? It is a topic that is very important, and we're going to discuss it. But like always, I want to keep the session interactive. So please do use the chat box to share your comments during the session, or you can unmute and speak, whatever is comfortable for you. The idea is the more we engage, the more we can learn, the more interesting the session can be rather than just a one-way monologue. Yeah. So, when we talk about this topic, right? When we generally think people here, who are already in jobs, right? When we think about what helps a person succeed at workplace, right? We all want to be successful, right? We think about, yeah, hard work. We think about knowledge, having qualification, having experience, right? Having the functional skills. And of course, all of these are very, very important. Okay. But then there is another set of skills, right? That can really make or break. You can have all the experience, you can have all the qualification, all the functional expertise, but if you do not have people skills, then it can really affect one's growth, one's experience at the workplace. Okay, so now before going forward, let me quickly stop here and ask, okay, what do you think people skills are? If you had to describe it in one or two words, you can use the chat or unmute. What do you think we're going to be discussing?
I think it's about getting along with different kinds of people at work.
Yeah, getting along with different kinds of people, very important, right? Because there are different kinds of people, people coming from different backgrounds, different age group, personality, experience level, right? So, how we can be able to do that? Anyone else would like to try? Okay, we'll have more opportunity as we go along to share. The good news is that, people skills is something that we can learn. It's not something you're born with. It's not something that, you have a personality for. Anybody can learn it. And in today's session, we're going to learn some simple, practical tips or ways to build these skills. Okay, so that you can feel more confident and you can work well with others. Okay, so let's move ahead and let's do a quick, trying to get in different activities so that we can make the learning more easier. Absolutely. So even recognizing that I can be difficult, a lot of times we feel the other people are being difficult and we keep evaluating them, but realizing that I also can be difficult is very important. Thank you for sharing. Okay. Okay, so true or false, what I'm going to do before we begin, right? Before we talk about people skills, let's see what we already know. Okay, because maybe we already know certain things. So it's a fun activity. It's not a test. There are no marks for it. So we're just learning together. Okay, so I'm going to read the statement. You can mention true if you think it's true, mention false if you think it's false. Okay, or you can give thumbs up, thumbs down, whatever you feel is comfortable. Okay, first statement, only extroverts or outgoing people have good people skills.
False.
False. Ashish says false. What about others? See, this is an activity where you
True.
can easily
True.
participate.
It is true.
Sorry?
Only extrovert is true. Only extroverts have good people skill. It is true.
It's true?
True.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So most people are saying false. One person is saying it's true. Actually, the answer is that it's not true because people, as you will see in the session, people's skills is not about being very talkative or being very outgoing. A very quiet person or an introvert can be an excellent listener, can be able to communicate very respectfully, can be able to cooperate very well, can be very dependable, can be very reliable. And these are people skills, right? So it's not just about how much we can talk. And this is something you'll hear me say again and again in the session. Working well with others means I must always agree with everybody. True or
False,
false?
of course. False.
It's
False.
It's false because when we talk about being a good team player, good teamwork doesn't mean you have to agree with everything. It is okay to have different opinions. In fact, it's important that's why we are a team, right? Otherwise, it would be only one person, right? So different opinions matter, but the important thing is how you express your disagreement. You have to do it respectfully and listen to others. Just because I am disagreeing with somebody, I shouldn't interrupt them. Listen to them, respect the fact, Ashish mentioned in the beginning, there are different people we have to get along with, right? So, the idea is that everybody is going to come with their own opinions and, nobody is right or wrong. Okay. Third, feeling nervous when talking to new people is common. True or false?
True.
Yes, yeah, that's true. And this is important because I want everyone to understand many people feel nervous. For example, I'm starting a new job, I'm meeting a new colleague, or I'm speaking in a meeting, right? Like first time when I started these sessions, I did not know, right? I remember when I met Vijayji, when I met Ashish, I said, I don't know the community, I don't know the people, my work experience has been different so far, so I don't know if I will be effective. So I had so many questions for them, right? So feeling nervous is normal. It doesn't mean there is something wrong with you, and confidence grows with practice. So just because I'm feeling nervous, just because I'm having fear of speaking, if I say I will not speak, then I will never be able to learn, I will never be able to improve. In fact, because I'm avoiding, the fear becomes stronger, right? So avoidance strengthens the fear, but when you actually face it and say, okay, despite the fear, I'm going to do it, I'm going to talk to people, it actually helps you practice those skills. Okay. You should solve every problem by yourself at workplace, I mean. Yeah, false, yes, that's false. Again, a misconception. At work, asking for help, asking for clarification, asking for guidance is actually seen as a strength. Why? Because it shows self-awareness. It shows that you have a sense of responsibility. It shows that you're willing to learn. And it prevents mistakes. It prevents delays. Okay, so it's good for the whole team. So don't be afraid to say, I don't know something and I want to learn something, right? So admitting I don't know, it actually is a sign of maturity. It's a sign of honesty, right? So it's okay. So you don't have to feel like I have to be perfect and know everything. Nobody can know everything. Okay, especially when you're beginning, when you're starting out. Okay, so you don't have to put that pressure on yourself. It is okay to interrupt someone when they are talking.
Not usually.
Yeah. What if I'm disagreeing with them? What if that person is talking nonsense? Then should I just interrupt? Yeah. See, the answer is very obvious, but
You're on mute, Vijayji. Cannot hear you.
If we are in disagreement, we can do that in politely by saying, I have a different point of view, but that doesn't mean we are interrupting them mid-sentence. That's being rude. Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I always try to follow, and I suggest following the golden rule. Don't do something to the other person which you don't want them to do to yourself. Yeah.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
how do you feel when you are talking and somebody interrupts you? Right? Now, at that time, the intention doesn't matter. Now, let's say Ashish is talking or Vijayji is talking, and I interrupt them. And I say, no, no, but my intention was, just to correct you or just to add on. I thought I will forget my point. That's doesn't matter. My intention may be very good. My intention may not be bad, but it is disrespectful to the other person. So, yes, Neha, like listen to them fully and then take your turn to put your point across respectfully. Even saying that, I would like to respectfully disagree, or I beg to differ. It's about how you say it, right? So letting everybody finish and, we showing respect. And sometimes, if you feel, oh, I'll forget, you can write down the point, right? And you can come back to it later. Okay, so great job. So these statements actually, what do they remind us? They remind us that people skills, it's not rocket science. It's not about having certain personality. It's about everyday simple behaviors that anybody can learn and practice. Most of these things we already know. It's about practicing them. Okay. So what are we going to learn today? So we are going to focus on three main areas that really make a difference at workplace. One is, learning simple ways to build positive relationships with coworkers. And of course, our supervisors, right? Our seniors, right? So it's about getting along with people and working in a team, right? Every workplace, any kind of job you're doing, it involves working with others. Whether you're working in IT, whether you're working in customer support, whether it's an admin job, any job, right? So learning how to work with people is very important. Okay. And some can be difficult people, like bring out, our tendencies to be difficult also, and somebody else is being difficult, our tendencies to be difficult also comes up. So how do we handle? And very important, we'll discuss, for some of us, or rather I should say many of us, because it's very common, if you feel that social situations, having conversations, speaking in meetings or in groups is challenging because you get very nervous, we look at some strategies that can help you feel more comfortable and confident, right? So by the end of the session, I hope each one of us will leave with few practical ideas, even one or two. You don't have to change everything at once, but even one small change can really make a big difference, right? So that's really the idea. Okay. So, okay, let me ask this, okay? Why people skills matter at work? Okay, we're going to be, I think we already discussed it, okay? So let's talk about it, right? Now, I want you to think about it for a moment. Have you worked or, maybe even studied when you were studying? You have been a part of a group, right? You did group assignments, or at work also, you have to work with other people. Have you been with a group or a team where people didn't get along with each other?
Yes,
Have you?
I have. I have.
It's so what happened when we talk about people were not able to get along with each other? What was happening at that time? What was the experience like?
Friction, stress, yeah.
Misunderstanding.
Productivity gets affected as a team, because everybody is not on the same page. People have different approaches, objectives.
Absolutely.
There's
So
also
friction, tension. Yes.
there's also groupism, like minds stick together, and
Yeah.
then it becomes a whole fight between me and them. All
Me
these
versus
what they call politics, work politics.
politics. Absolutely.
These things all start off from here.
Absolutely. And all, it takes away our energy from being productive to these unproductive areas,
Mm.
you know. So these misunderstandings, these arguments, or groupism, feeling left out, so if there are few people getting together, obviously there are few people feeling left out, creates a lot of stress, right? And it affects productivity, like Vijayji said, because all our energy is going into all this, right? And this happens even when people are very good at their jobs, right? They are talented people, they are highly skilled people, but work becomes difficult when you cannot get along with each other. Okay. So people skills really matter because, like I said, we are working with people at the end of the day. So communicating clearly, working together, solving problems together, it definitely is important. And of course, see, nobody knows everything. I mentioned it earlier, especially when you're starting out a job, learning something new. So when will you be comfortable asking for support from somebody? Will you be comfortable asking for support from a complete stranger or somebody you don't get along with? No, it becomes much easier when you feel comfortable with people around you, to ask questions, to clarify doubts, to, ask for help when you need it, right? So it really helps to create that support system, right? Because work can get stressful, work can get very busy, there can be challenges. So when we have supportive co-workers or a supportive team, you are able to get through those difficult times. It's like even in our personal life, right? When we go through challenges, you have a supportive family, friends, you are able to get through, right? So, people skills, in fact, very importantly, it's not just about helping us get to doing our work, our tasks. Of course, that becomes easier, but it's also the experience at work. Going to work feels, it feels positive, it
Yeah.
feels uplifting. You look forward to going to work if you can get along with people. And on the other hand, if you're not able to get along with people, if you're feeling isolated, going to work feels very stressful. Do you agree so far, whatever we have discussed? Guys,
Yes.
thumbs up if you agree. Yeah, so it's also the experience, right, of how you're working. Okay, so what is people skills? In a simple sentence, if I have to put it, people skills is how we interact with others every day, every day. And, we spoke about workplace, but it's something which we do not, it's useful not just in work, it's also at home. It's also with our friends. It's in our community also. So the skills we are going to learn today, it's not just that it's going to help you at your workplace. It's going to help you everywhere, right? So let's talk about, and I want to do a quick activity, okay? Let's practice one of the most important thing, okay, which is introducing ourselves and getting to know each other, right? When you I don't know how many of us here have just newly started a job or who are already working.
Yeah. There are a few, but I don't know if they are here in this session
Okay.
today.
Oh, okay. Okay. So whenever, let's say, you're joining a new team, okay,
Mhm.
one thing that we need to do is we need to introduce ourselves. So I want to keep it very simple. Okay. So imagine it's your first day at a new workplace or in a new team. Okay. I want you to introduce yourself, just giving your name and one strength that you're bringing to the team. Okay. So my name is so and Alpana, and one strength I bring to the team is I can say, oh, I'm a good listener, or I'm, I like helping others, or I'm able to stay calm under pressure, anything. Okay. There is no right or wrong answers. Okay. So who would like to start?
Okay, I'll go.
Yes,
I'm
Ashish.
Ashish, and my strength is to look at things in an interactive context. I like to see things as a big picture and how all the pieces interact with each other.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. And that's a very, very important strength, that one brings to the team. Okay. So one thing we noticed is that everybody brings something valuable to the team. Yeah. Neha is saying, I'm a problem solver, right? Now, let me ask everyone who's here, how many people are there? Yeah, about 10 plus people. How many of you remember the strengths that other people shared, except the ones that are already on the chat? Okay. How many of us
I
remember?
remember, I remember.
Ashish,
We,
I also remember.
you also remember. Okay. Okay. So
I am
this,
a good listener.
you're a good listener, yeah. So this is something very, very important because listening is also a very important part of people skills, okay, which is often underestimated.
Sorry
Okay.
to interrupt, Alpana. God
Yes.
has, I believe that God has given us 2 ears and one mouth. So we
Yes.
should use them in that ratio. Listen more and talk less.
Absolutely. Listen twice as much as we speak, but usually we do the opposite.
Yeah.
And it's important because when we think about people skills, when we think about communication skills, typically everybody thinks, oh, it's about how I can talk very well, how I can use big words, right? But communication is not just talking, it's also listening. And we underestimate the importance of good listening, but listening is something which is very, very important. What do you think good listening communicates? When we talk about people skills, specifically getting along with other people, interacting with other people, why do you think listening is important? Yes, Ashish?
I think we create a safe space for others to share their ideas openly and
Yes.
they feel respected.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, good listening, there are two benefits. One is the informational benefit, right? I get information. When somebody is sharing something, I can understand them. Okay. So when I'm talking to them, then I can speak to them more in a more relevant manner. Right? That's one. But the other more important benefit is the emotional benefit, which Ashish said, it helps the other person or makes the other person feel respected. It makes the other person feel valued. And that is so important because if somebody is making you feel respected, if somebody is making you feel valued, will you like the person or dislike the person?
Of course, like the person.
It's hard to dislike the person, right?
Yeah.
But when somebody is feeling you, making you feel disrespected because they are distracted, opposite of not of listening. Okay, when you're talking, I am looking here, looking there, looking at my watch. Again, my intention is not bad. I may feel, oh, I'm multitasking and I'm listening, but how does it make the other person feel? We've all
Unheard, unheard.
unheard, and we've all been at the receiving end, no? Where we are
Yeah.
talking something important and the other person seems disinterested, seems distracted, and we feel disrespected, we feel unheard, and it is difficult to have positive feelings for that other person at that time, at least. We feel annoyed. So,
Mm.
listening is very, very important. It's very underestimated. And it actually requires, when I say listening, it's not passive. Okay. It requires a deliberate intention to pay attention. Okay. We'll talk about that as you'll hear me repeating this again and again. Okay. When I say making deliberate effort to pay attention, meaning putting away my distractions, not thinking about, oh, what do I speak next? Because now when we are doing this activity, of course, I didn't give you much time for it, but it wouldn't be uncommon if most of us were preoccupied. What should I say? What should I say? And we were not listening to the other person. Yes, Ashish.
Yeah, I think what came to my mind while listening to you is that there's also an element of whether we are giving somebody a space to have an impact on us.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
if we are distracted or we are not giving it the due importance or attention, it means we already have an opinion and we are going to stick to it no matter what the other person says.
Very, very,
So
yeah, very
yeah,
important.
that element of vulnerability has to be there in active listening.
Very, you touched a very nuanced point, very delicate point, which is very important. Stephen Covey, if you've heard of Stephen Covey, who talks about 7 habits of highly effective people, right? That's a book one should read if you want to put people skills. Then he says, seek first to understand than to be understood. But we are in so much, we talk about persuasion, persuading others, influencing others. No, I will talk and talk and talk and talk, and then I will influence Ashish. No, but that's not the way he's going to get influenced. Okay. First, let me listen and understand. And like he said, when I say I want to understand, it's like emptying my mind. How will you make space for something if my mind is already full with my opinions? I have already decided, you know. So I always joke, what is the definition of listening? Listening is waiting for the other person to stop talking. Because I have already decided, like Ashi said, what I'm going to say. I'm just waiting for them to stop talking, for that pause, so that I can speak. So
Yeah,
that's not.
there's this saying na, that we listen to just respond, not to really understand, right? Because the mind is already prepared for the answer, and it comes out automatically rather than really being responsive to what the person wanted to state. Yeah, it's just pushing our point of view. Yeah, then that's not a conversation in a real sense. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. So very important. And, so being open-minded for that, for good listening, and see, there are so many layers coming out, right? And I'm happy we are discussing this because these are important things. Because listening involves so many layers. It's not just 2 years, huh? I have 2 years, to kaan pe padenge ye shab chahiye, whether I like it or not. It's not passive. It's keeping an open mind. It's keeping away distractions. It's keeping away preconceived notions. I know already my judgments, or this person is talks nonsense, this person I don't like, right? And you're saying, no, no, I'm willing to be wrong. I'm willing to learn something. So listening also involves being humble. Yeah, that's also very important.
Also, would it also not ask about asking further follow-up questions? So that indicates even more interest in the conversation, right?
Yes.
If I am not clear about something, I can ask more questions and just responding based on the incomplete information I have received. Yeah, yeah,
Absolutely. So asking questions shows
and-
interest.
yeah.
If I have not listened, then I will not have relevant question to ask. Or building on what the person has shared, like here now, how it is happening in the
Yeah.
conversation. If somebody is listening to the conversation only, they can, constructively or, appropriately build on. Right? So, all that shows how much we are engaged in the conversation. So again, listening is not just about pretending, sometimes we say, oh, I will learn good listening by just nodding or eye contact. No, it's not pretending. It's actually being engaged in that conversation. So that is very, very important. And it's a very important part of, treating other people with respect and building trust. You can build good rapport in counseling. That's, you must know that counseling, we say it's a safe space. How do we build rapport when first time somebody is coming and talking to me, right? How do you think they share about their life, about their journey, their deepest emotions with a total stranger? I always feel in a session, first session especially, I feel I have to earn the person's trust. I have to make the person feel comfortable and safe enough, like Ashish said, to feel like I can trust this person. That is my responsibility. And how do I do that? By not by putting my degrees on the wall and telling them how educated or how experienced I am. That's not what is going to impress them. I mean, it might impress them, but that's not going to really build the real trust. That trust comes when they find the other person is actually interested in them, in listening to them, whatever that, and patience, because it's such a rare skill. Today, if I ask you, you look at your contact list in your phone, and I ask you, name 5 people who are good at talking, maybe you will be able to name 10 people. But if I ask you, name 5 people who are good at listening, we will really struggle, right? Because we live in a
Can I come in with one thought I have on this? I
absolutely.
think the first 2 points are interlinked.
Yeah.
Now, to invite good listeners, we need to also be good communicators and also be talking about what the person is interested in, right? Because it's also about understanding that somebody else's time is valuable, right? Some people ramble on and on and on. And in these times of attention deficit, it's very easy to then drift, right? It's a two-way linkage, I think. It can't be one way, right? Yeah, yeah. I think that's it. So to give you an example, to cite an example, you asked us how many people remember that one line pitch, then introduce yourself and what are you about. So to communicate clearly is using just 2 or 3 words in the description. This is my strength. Yeah. So that is very easy to recall and, it sticks in the mind. So pitch needs to be crystal clear also.
Yes. So, and very important, so when we talk about communicating clearly, which is very important, it's about sharing your ideas in a way that other people can understand And it doesn't need to be long. In fact, it's better if it's not long. It has to be very clear, crisp, because, like people don't have much patience, right? Again, you don't need big words, just very clearly. And one good way you can start doing that is just by writing down. Like now, this activity that we were doing, one simple thing you could have done is just write down. It becomes easier for you, right? In meetings also, before sharing a point, asking a question, just write it down. So it becomes much more clear, right? So the idea here is you don't have to change your whole personality. If you're a quiet person, you don't have to become a very talkative person. If you're an introvert, you don't have to become an extrovert. You can still learn. So, I want you to think about a person. It could be a peer, it could be a teacher, a friend, a family member you enjoy talking to. Okay. And what are the qualities that make you feel comfortable with this person? What are the qualities that they have that you feel this? I feel very comfortable with this person.
One thing is empathy. The other thing is authenticity. Is the person pretending to be himself or herself, or pretending to be somebody else with me? So brings his whole or her whole self in a conversation or in a relationship. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think these are the things that would make me feel give me a lot of comfort. Yeah. Yeah. Integrity, as of course. Yeah. So, yeah. The trust develops with these elements, I feel. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Being authentic, be integrity, they all talk about honesty, being honest as a person. This is who I am. I'm not pretending to be somebody who I am not. Yeah. Because I don't consider the other person, I don't want to deceive the other person. Right? Because a lot of times you think, oh, people skills means you have to be, it's tactics. No, tactics don't work for long. When you're working with other people, 1 day, 2 day, you can put on a pretense. You can put on certain behaviors, but they're not going to last forever, especially when you're under stress. Right? So rather than pretending, you have to be your genuine self. Yes, Ashish.
Yeah. One of the things that always work for me when I'm speaking to people, especially if I'm listening to them for the first time or speaking to them for the first time, this is something I've learned with years of work, is something I call vesseling, which means मैं जो बोल रहा हूँ, whatever I'm speaking, is the other person able to grasp it and contain it? Or what the other person is speaking, am I able to contain it? Because if
Wow.
I'm not able to contain it, then it's pretense. I'm just trying not to look stupid.
Vesseling is the word you said.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Oh, very
So
interesting.
that gives me confidence. Like I could meet someone in a workplace and I could immediately tell iske saath jamegi. Because he can understand or she can understand what I'm trying to say.
Absolutely, absolutely. So is the other person able to grasp? Am I giving them something which they are easily able to grasp? Okay. And of course, when I'm receiving, am I able to grasp? So, it's both ways. When I'm speaking, I'm carrying that responsibility so that I make it easier for other person to listen to me, like Vijay said. I'm making
Yeah.
it easier, not more difficult. So I'm making it very simple, very short. And then Ashish saying, okay, and when I am listening, when other person is speaking, I am taking the responsibility again. What are the few things, one or two things that I can catch from this, which I can
Hmm.
contain? Yeah. So yeah, we've got responses. It used to be my mom, listening to everything I had. Yeah. So all these things that you've mentioned, right? Listening, respect, honesty, right? All of these are part of interpersonal skills or people skills, right? So simple everyday behaviors that you can see, you may feel, oh, these are small actions, but together they make a big difference. Okay, so practicing them consistently, again, not as a show, not as a pretense. When I need something, I will pretend to be polite and say please and thank you and excuse me. No, it has to be part. So simple things like, simply greeting, say, smiling and saying good morning or saying hello. And start doing that, as part of your natural life rather than saying, I will do it only in certain situations. you know like when you come out of your building, for example, there is a security guard. How many of us say good morning to them, smiling and say good morning to them, right? Or
Yeah.
the people who clean the building, apartment, or the help that comes. Just simple things like that. It makes people feel welcome. It makes people feel valued. So it's a very simple thing that you can do. Polite language. We learned these golden words in school. Please, thank you, excuse me. They show respect. How do we show respect? I can have all the respect in my heart, you know, but it has to be demonstrated also in a genuine way, right? And it is demonstrated through my behavior. So, speaking politely, make it a point that you include these words in your vocabulary, right? Because, it's very important. The reason I'm saying this is all these are important because under stress, it will really show. My true personality will show, right? Because I can pretend when things are going okay. But when I'm under stress, I will actually not be able to hold on to that pretense, right? So now again, can you think of someone who is able to stay calm and kind and patient even in stressful situations? And how do you feel about them? Somebody who is able to stay calm and patient and very kind, very considerate, empathy, all these skills that we spoke about. Because, work is going to be busy, work is going to be challenging. So, how do we stay calm? It requires practice, and we respect them. They are rare people. Yes, retaining everybody's dignity, like to interact person who do not judge when you share past good and bad deeds. Yeah, so they are non-judgmental. They understand and share the experience. We learn, we move on and support each other. Yes, so again, respect, empathy, all these are important. Okay. Another important, we spoke about good listening. Yeah. Another important thing is, respecting healthy boundaries. Yeah. Now at workplace, this is quite important. What do you think we mean by respecting boundaries? Can anybody give an example of how we don't respect boundaries?
I think I can give an example
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I've worked in different cultural setups.
Hmm.
So, like when I was working with an American, Americans have the culture of bombarding into conversations, irrespective of what you're doing. So while I was working with Japanese and American, there used to be constant fight because Japanese are like, this is my space, I'm doing this right now, don't disturb me. And Americans are like, hey, come on, we need to talk about this. So that's where the boundaries were really at a clash.
Thank you. Yeah, very important example, right? So everybody has their own style, and we are not bothered about the other person. What is their style, what is their comfort, right? So boundaries is about respecting the other person's comfort, right? Very, very important. It's their personal space. It could be, when I say personal space, personal time, it could be just, after work hours, respecting, not, sort of trying to bother them after work hours. When you're
Hmm.
contacting them, not directly calling them, you send them a polite message and ask, I'm sorry to contact you this late, but it's a little urgent, right? So you're being mindful of those personal boundaries, even personal space, physical space. Very, very important, not standing too close to somebody, in an elevator, for example, in a lift, right? When we are standing, how do we stand? Do we look into other person's eyes, even if it's a crowded elevator? You start staring at the other person. Is it good manners to do that? It's not, because it's about personal space, right? So respecting that personal space, respecting time, and also opinions, right? Different people have different opinions, and respecting boundaries is, saying that, okay, you can have your opinion. Another important point is, personal questions, not getting too personal in a professional scenario, right? So what can be some example of personal questions, like asking somebody about their personal life, right? For example, their relationship status, right? About their financial status, religious beliefs, right? Political beliefs. So these are very personal questions, And we need to respect people's privacy unless they are volunteering to share it. And even when they share it, we have to keep it confidential. So privacy is very, very important. So appropriate conversations, appropriate questions is very, very important. And similarly, it is okay to respect your own boundaries and say no if you are uncomfortable with something. Okay. So if somebody is saying, would you like to come for and invite you for something, and you feel you're not comfortable or you cannot do it genuinely, you can say no politely. Or if somebody asks you for help, of course, as much as possible, we need to help. But if you cannot genuinely, you can say no politely. Right? If you're already overworked or you're committed already for other things, yeah, don't have to say yes again, which we mentioned earlier. People skills doesn't mean you have to say yes to everybody all the time. Right? If somebody is asking you something, even when I'm uncomfortable, I will say yes to them. No, it does. It's, you can put your own boundaries. Okay. And asking for help, very important. If something is unclear, ask for clarification. Right? Nobody expects you to know everything. And, it prevents mistakes. It prevents delays at work. Right? So think about it yourself now. Which of these skills do you feel you are good at? And which skill you would want to improve?
Mm,
Yeah,
yeah.
very important. Not micromanaging, yes, Neha. Which skill you think you're already good at? We already may be having some strengths. Yes, Ashish.
Yeah, so this again reminded me of my American colleague
Huh.
who used to bombard and impose
Yeah.
a certain instruction. And one of the skills that I picked up around this time was to safely tell this person, look, you're making me uncomfortable. Let's talk about it after 5 minutes.
Yes. So
So
that's
that would give us space, both of us a space to reconsider what we are doing wrong in communication.
absolutely, absolutely. So this communication actually helped, because maybe if you had not communicated, the other person would not even realize it.
Realize exactly.
Right? And this happens in workplace. A lot of times we feel, people say, oh, I'm feeling overwhelmed, I'm feeling uncomfortable. But when I ask them, did you communicate? Did you let the other person, did your team know, your manager know? We say no, because, I thought they already know, or if I tell them, they will not understand. We make these assumptions. Right? We feel, oh, the person will not understand. The person should already know. If I tell them, they'll think I'm being difficult. No, most of the times when you communicate respectfully and clearly, it helps to address the problem. Like Ashish gave the
Mm.
example, the person understood, oh, I'm having this impact and I don't intend to have that impact. So fine, let's do what works for both of us. Right? So thank you, Ashish, for sharing that. Okay. Now, let me give you another scenario, okay, to understand this better. Okay, let's see how these behaviors influence the way other people see us at work. Okay, so go through these go through this scenario. There are two employees, Jim and Jug, okay, who have joined the same office at the same time. Okay, and the first few weeks at work are over. Let's say 1 month has happened. Okay, and Jim is somebody who usually shows up on time, checks in with his team members before starting work. When Jim is unsure about something, asks for clarification instead of just guessing and keeping quiet. If he makes a mistake, he acknowledges it and works to fix it, correct it. Jug is friendly and easy to talk to, but he often arrives late or misses deadlines. When something goes wrong, he avoids communicating it and hopes no one will notice. Now, imagine, you are the supervisor of that team, and you need to identify a person to handle an important task. You have to give them an important task. Who do you think you will give responsibility to? Jim or Jug, based on this information?
The first one,
Jim.
yeah,
Yeah, why? Of course, that's the obvious answer, but why do you think? What behaviors influenced your decision?
I think transparency, about
Let's see.
what he's facing.
Yeah. Yeah. So most people have chosen gym, not because gym is smarter or more experienced. See, they have joined at the same time. They have probably the same experience level, same qualification. So what made us choose gym is his behaviors. His actions show, like Ashish said, he's transparent, he's dependable, he's reliable. And what behaviors? Arriving on time, punctuality, right? Asking questions when unsure, communicating openly, taking responsibility when he makes mistakes. So this shows dependability, reliability, trustworthiness. Whereas Jug is friendly. What are Jug's strength? Friendly, and that's a positive quality. But being friendly alone or good at talking alone is not enough. Missing deadlines, not punctual, not taking responsibility, it becomes difficult for other people to trust him, to depend on him. Now, again, this doesn't mean that people can't improve. We all make mistakes. We all have areas we can work on. The important thing is being willing to learn and building good habits. So, this activity I wanted to highlight because there are certain behaviors which are important, which we need to practice consistently to build trust. Trust is not built in one big action, it's built over time through small, consistent, everyday behaviors that can make other people feel that they can depend on us. Okay? Very, very important aspect of workplace effectiveness, trustworthy, being trustworthy. So, what are those behaviors? Again, at the cost of being repetitive, I'm saying this, listening carefully. When you listen to the other person, you show them that you're valuing them, you're respecting them, and it has that reciprocity. For example, somebody is being nice to you. It's very difficult for you to be mean to them, no? You can be, but it's difficult. It will pinch you. But when somebody is being mean to you already, it's easier to be mean to that person. This person is being so mean to me, I'll also be mean to them. So that's what we call as the rule of reciprocity. As human beings, we have that rule of reciprocity. Somebody is giving you value, you also tend to value, right? You tend to trust them. Honesty, very important. If you don't know something, it is okay to say, I'm not sure. Okay, any one of us. It's if you make a mistake, be honest about it. People trust people who are truthful. Okay, not perfect. Nobody expects you to be perfect. Reliability. Yeah. If you say you will do something, try your best to do it. Integrity is what? Saying what you do and doing what you say. So say what you have done. If you have done something and if it's a mistake, it's fine. You can say it, you can admit it and say, okay, I'll work on correcting it, I'll learn. And do what you say. So, for example, arriving on time, punctuality. Okay. And I always say, don't arrive on time, arrive before time. Because when we plan to arrive on time, we are usually late. Because there is traffic, there is something or the other. So, always try 5 minutes before, even in a meeting. Okay. 5 minutes before. Why? Why do you think punctuality is important? Let me ask everybody here. Why
It
do you,
shows commitment,
it
probably.
shows commitment, it shows sincerity, it shows that you're taking that task seriously. One more important thing happens. Punctuality.
Reliability indicates reliability of the person.
Indicates reliability of the person. Now think about it. Let's say you are sitting in respect for the person. So imagine you're sitting, you've called somebody for a meeting. Okay. And you have reached on time before time. Let's say on time. And the other person is late, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. How do you feel? You feel, oh, they don't have any respect for my time. Right? Yes, we may miss on something and others may also miss out on us. Very important. Yes, in a team, for example. Right? So being punctual actually tells the other person, I value your time. I value you. Right? And it creates reliability. For example, Amitabh Bachchan is known as somebody who's very punctual. Being a star, one of the few stars who's very punctual. And, we see him in a very positive light because of that. So reliability is and respecting differences. Everybody has different ideas. It's okay. but how you say it. We spoke about that already, rather than arguing or criticizing the other person. And sometimes we don't realize it in the heat of the moment. It happens. Like sitting here right now, we will feel, oh, of course, we have to disagree politely or respectfully. But in that heat, when you're having a debate, think about it. Yeah, in the heat of a discussion, do you do it politely? Or you say, no, no,
No.
no, listen to me. At that time, yes, at that time, that's why I say kindness and stress, remembering these things in stressful situations, because that's when we become impatient,
Mhm.
right? That's very important. And apologizing when needed. Do you think apology makes you look smaller? Saying, I'm sorry, I made a mistake?
Not at all. Not at all.
Sincere apology. Yeah. And then there is an effort, not just saying sorry for the sake of sorry.
Mm.
Then there are some people who just say sorry and they don't know the meaning of sorry, right? What does sorry mean? Sorry is not a license to repeat the same mistake again, right? Sorry is basically acknowledging that, yes, something went wrong and I'm going to improve it. I'm going to try. So it helps to rebuild trust. It shows maturity. So don't be afraid to say, I'm sorry, but mean it. Say it genuinely, right? It's not just a word. So trust is not built in one day, it's small actions, right? Being kind, being respectful, being dependable, being consistent. Okay. So again, think about somebody you trust, a person you trust. What really about that person has made you feel you can trust them? Yeah, think about any person you trust. They will have one of these qualities.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Now remember, all these skills, these are learned skills. These are not really, necessarily personality traits. And every person,
Mm.
including experienced people, we need to continue improve. It's a journey. It's not like, oh, I've become perfect in people skills. I don't need to do anything. Right? Throughout our lives, we can keep improving. Okay? So again, I'm saying you can be a quiet person, shy person, and you can still have excellent people skills because you're somebody who shows respect, because you're somebody who's reliable, because you're somebody who works in a cooperative way. Okay?
Mm.
Now, let's talk about teamwork. Okay? And there are these two quotes here. Okay? I don't want to explain them. I want to hear what you think about it. First quote is, no, none of us is smart as all of us. What does that
Mm.
mean when we talk about teamwork?
I love this quote.
None of us is smart as all of us. What do you think it means when we talk about?
Sometimes, may I?
Yes,
Sometimes what we can achieve by playing our part in a bigger picture where everybody plays different roles, a lot more can be achieved compared to each one of us trying to do everything.
absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. So basically, the what it's saying is that every person has a role in the team because every person is bringing something valuable, different knowledge, different skills, different experiences. Otherwise, there would be only one person, and that would be enough, no?
Right.
So team works better when everybody contributes, and everybody's contribution is important. We share ideas, we can find better solutions, but being open-minded is important. Yeah, when we combine everyone's skills, the output is greater than the single person. And it's not just the additive, it becomes a multiplied kind of
Yes.
output, right?
Synergy, right?
Synergy,
That's
absolutely.
right.
Synergy is the word, right? But then we have to be willing to listen to each other. How
Hmm.
many times have we have these unconscious biases? Oh, this person is so junior. Oh,
Right.
this person, is not even completed their education. What they will have to say. Why
Hmm.
should I listen to them? Right? Or this person doesn't even speak much. They speak in such a low voice. They don't have
Hmm.
confidence. Why should I listen to? We have these biases and we don't listen. We feel I know the subject and I know everything. Like right now in this session, I feel I'm learning so much.
Hmm.
Right? I came here with certain, something to share, but I am learning so much from it. Right?
Wonderful.
So being, understanding that all of us are contributing and we are enriching. If I was the only one talking in this session, I don't think it could have been effective at all, right? The effectiveness comes from everybody participating. The second quote is also important. A boat doesn't move forward if each person is rowing in a different direction.
Absolutely.
What picture comes to mind when you think about this as a team?
Agenda.
Yeah. Have you seen this happening at, in work or in college, in a group activity? Coordination is very important. Yes, Neha. Have you seen this happening? You're doing a group activity and everybody is doing their own thing. Everybody is smart. See, so it's not just about having smart people on the team, qualified. There are a lot of teams where there are very qualified people, very skilled people, but the teams fail. Why? Because you're not working together, coordinating, not working towards the same goal. In fact, they're struggling because everybody is trying to outdo the other person. How can I prove I'm smarter than the other person? So then the politics come in, like, I think Ashish had
Right.
mentioned.
Right.
So I will start hiding information. I'm not going to tell this
Mm.
to this other person. And I'm going to, but so I'm not going to communicate. I'm not going to cooperate. I'm not going to support. Right? But that's not how it works. So the two quotes, both, they're different, but they're equally important because the first quote tells, together we are smarter because everybody has something valuable to contribute. But the second quote is saying, together we are stronger only when we are working together. The smart people have to work together,
Yeah.
right? So when we spoke about it earlier, when you're working together, but you're not working well, why? Because misunderstanding, conflict was there. People are not communicating with each other, right? So when we talk about a team, you don't have to be the loudest person in a team to be a valuable teammate. Right? Again, a good teammate is somebody who listens, who communicates respectfully, who does their part. Everybody has, their strengths in a team. Okay, so how to be a good team player? Again, these are simple things that we need to keep in mind. We've spoken about them earlier. Taking turns. Everybody deserves a chance to contribute. When somebody else is speaking, let them finish before you share your thoughts. So because we said listening is as, even if that person is very junior,
Mm.
even if you feel, I don't know what this person is going to, because we all have biases. Okay. We cannot do away with biases. You will have that voice that will come up in your head. This person speaks. I cannot listen. Yeah, but you have to become aware of that bias and then keep it aside and say, no, I will pay respect because I never know. Right? So keeping an open mind is very important. Doing your part. Every person has a role and responsibility. Nobody's job is big or small. Even, the person who is in the housekeeping department, their job is important, right?
Yes.
They create a comfortable, clean working space for you, right? So are not underestimating anybody's part and completing your work on time. And if you finish early, yes, offering help to somebody else can be helpful. If somebody else is struggling, somebody is junior, less experienced. So very important, not just saying, okay, that's all. This is my part. I will do only my part and gone. Everything else, other people have to do. No. If I have done my part and I know somebody else is struggling, after I finished my part, you don't have to leave your work and help other people. You
Mm.
finish your work first. But not
Mm.
necessarily just saying, no, that's not my job. Why should I do other people's job? Yeah. Communicating clearly. We've spoken about this again and again, right? Sharing information that your team needs to know, right? Don't keep that information to yourself. Don't assume everybody will know. Somebody else will tell. If you get to know something, tell them. If you are unsure, ask questions. If you're running late or you're facing a problem, inform them beforehand. Good communication prevents confusion. Okay, so everybody stays on the same page. Asking help, right? It prevents delays. And one more important point, it's encouraging each other. You know,
Mm.
don't try to compete with each other, right? Complement each other. So just saying somebody good job or thank you for helping. It just makes the person feel motivated. So again, think about people you enjoy working with in a team. They will have these qualities, isn't it? So it's not about being perfect. It's about being respectful and reliable. Okay. Now
Mm.
again, quickly, let's look at this scenario. Okay, so this is Alex, who has recently joined an IT support team. Supervisor asks him to update a spreadsheet before the end of day. After working for a couple of hours, Alex realizes he is unsure how to complete one part of the task. He worries that if he asks for help, people might think he is not good enough. What should, Alex do? Keep trying on his own without telling anyone, and the team report gets delayed because he remains stuck. Option A. Option B, politely ask a teammate or supervisor for help so that he is able to understand and finish the task on time. What do you think?
I think the second one makes
Second
more
one?
sense. Yeah.
Because yes, you can try on your own, but you know that there is a deadline, and you know the team is depending on that task, right? Then at that time, the sign of responsibility is asking for help, asking for intervention. It's not a weakness. And
Mm.
learning, right? So you can do the task, but you're getting some support. So it actually helps you learn. It helps to prevent delays, and it supports the whole team. When we watch that cricket match, we see, although I don't understand much cricket, but I understand this much, that the team score is more important than the individual batsman score.
Yeah.
We see sometimes that, when you're doing these one-day matches and you're chasing a score, right? And the one batsman wants to complete their half century and they're playing very slowly. Is that good teamwork? Because they don't want to lose their wicket, but there are enough wickets, coming up, and at that time, the run rate is important.
Mm.
So what is more important, my individual goal or the team goal? Me
Mm.
completing my half century or having a good run rate at that time? Yeah, so
Right.
yeah, the team goal is more important. Now, last segment that I want to cover, we've had a good conversation so far. So, so little delay, but yeah, I hope,
No, it's
got on
great. It's
schedule.
going great. Please
Yeah,
continue.
social anxiety. Okay, this is something I want to cover. So, we've spent time talking about people's skills and how they help at work, and it's all good. But for some people, using these skills can feel very difficult because of social
Mm.
anxiety. So let's talk about social anxiety and, you know, what it is and what it is not. First thing I want to clarify is that social anxiety is not just being shy. What is the difference between being shy and social anxiety? Now, many people are naturally shy. Okay, and that's perfectly okay. Okay, so what happens with the shy person? A shy person may feel nervous when meeting new people or speaking in a new group, but once they are comfortable, they are able to join that conversation and, ask questions, contribute. So it's a first day at workplace. Shy person will be quiet during introductions, but after a few days they can start chatting, and, they become very comfortable. That's a shy person. Social anxiety is different because the fear is much more stronger and it doesn't
Mm.
go away quickly. So the person may be in the same team for months and years, but still constantly worry about being judged, making mistakes, embarrassing themselves, right? And because of this worry, so social anxiety is that fear, extreme fear, that I will be judged, I will be criticized, I'll be ridiculed by others. And because of that worry, they avoid speaking, they avoid asking questions, they don't join conversations, even when they have something valuable to contribute. Okay. So, for example, there can be an employee, a person with social anxiety, who may know exactly how to solve a problem during a team meeting, but stays silent because they think, okay, but what if I say something wrong? What if
Mm.
everybody thinks I'm foolish? And later on, they keep replaying that situation in their mind and criticizing themselves, that I should have spoken. Why didn't I speak? Okay. How many of us can relate to this? Another thing I want to say is that it's very common. Okay, social anxiety is very common. It is not that, it doesn't mean that you lack your ability to do the job. Okay, there can be a lot of talented people, hardworking people, highly skilled people who have social anxiety, right? So it's common, right? The challenge is not lack of ability, it's the fear that comes with social situations. Okay. Okay. So question is, have you felt nervous before speaking in a group or speaking in a meeting? Right? It's more common than we think. That's social anxiety, and good news is it can improve with practice. Okay. And gradually facing those situations, not avoiding, because when you avoid, it becomes stronger. The fear becomes stronger. So you don't have to wait to become fully confident of become perfect and then you will start participating in social situations. No, it is the other way around. With practice, with every small step, the confidence grows. Okay. Again, let's try and understand from a case scenario. There is a team of 4 people who's, let's say, preparing a presentation, and everybody is sharing ideas. And there is Ria who has a good idea, but is quiet because she's worried people will not like it. And then later on, another team member suggests the same idea and everybody likes that idea. Okay, and Ria feels disappointed. So what do you think stopped Ria from
Uh-huh.
participating?
So sometimes it's also the fear that we'll appear foolish, or that we'll be looked down upon for a stupid idea suggestion from our end. That sense of the lack of confidence, in what we believe in. Yeah, of course, that anxiety also associated with it, but to me it often comes with that feeling, that I will appear stupid if some people don't agree with my
Absolutely.
view. Yeah.
Absolutely. So that fear of coming across as stupid, fear of
Yeah.
being judged, lack
Yeah.
of confidence, like you said, yes,
Mm.
Ulrika also said that, or worrying I'll make a mistake, right? So notice none of this is about not having a good idea. It's not about being knowledgeable or not being knowledgeable. Ria has stayed quiet because her anxiety made her doubt herself. It's not her knowledge herself. Okay. So now the next question, what could, if you were Ria's friend, what practical suggestions you would give to try next time?
Maybe she could practice that within internal meetings with her, not with senior management or something where she would have more confidence issues and more uncertainty. Would keep practicing until she develops that confidence. Yeah, the team should help her if she is willing enough to express this problem that she's facing with her close team. Then she can hone her skills, and eventually she'll get better at sort of communicating and being backing her ideas in a meeting situation or in social situation.
Absolutely, absolutely. So trying, right? So one step at a time, trying. And of course, if the team can support her, nothing like it.
Yeah.
Obviously, right? That will be great. But on her own, what can Ria do? These are some small suggestions, right? That we can focus. Now, again, remember these strategies are not going to remove anxiety overnight, okay? And make her like suddenly a very fluent speaker. So don't wait. Goal is not to eliminate anxiety. I have discussed this in my earlier sessions also. Don't treat anxiety like an enemy. Learn to work through it. Okay, it's trying to protect me. My anxiety is trying to protect me. So it's okay if it is present. I will acknowledge it, but I will not let it run the show for me. Okay. And I will take some small manageable steps. Okay. What is a small manageable step? Taking slow breaths. And again, it sounds very simple, but it's highly effective because the mind and the breath are connected. When we feel anxious, our breathing becomes very fast and shallow. Okay. So before speaking in a meeting or starting a conversation, try to take slow, deep breaths, because when we do that, the mind becomes calm. It calms your body, it gives you a moment to collect your thoughts, just taking a few deep breaths. Or preparing ahead. You're going to be attending a meeting or talking with coworkers. Think of 1 or 2 things that you might want to say in advance. Write them down. I always advise that. You can prepare a question or let's say you want to share an update about your work, or a simple conversation starter, right? Like, introducing yourself. When you're prepared, to a lot extent, it can reduce anxiety. It's like before an exam, right? If you're more prepared, the more confident you are. And starting with small, you don't have to start by giving a big presentation to a big group. Start with small interaction, like Vijayji said, right? One small piece. Now, asking one question, saying one sentence, saying good morning to somebody with a smile, right? Even strangers, sometimes it's easier traveling the train or bus and just talking to a stranger next to you. Small conversations help us to build confidence step by step. So don't wait to go to the workplace and then I will try these things. Start where you are today. Okay. And don't expect yourself to become confident overnight, perfect overnight. Set realistic goals. Okay. And very important, positive self talk. Our thoughts influence how we feel. So if you're going to have thoughts, everybody is going to judge me, I'm going to make a mess, obviously it's going to increase anxiety. So try to talk to yourself like you would talk to a friend, compassionate. I'm learning and it is okay to make mistakes. I don't need to be perfect. Let me try one small thing. Okay, that's very different. So try to replace those negative thoughts. We have talked about challenging negative thoughts in our earlier session, so I will not go further into it. And of course, you don't have to manage it alone. If you feel social situations continue to feel very difficult for you, overwhelming for you, talk to somebody you trust. It could be a peer, it could be a friend, a family member,
Senior, for
mentor,
that matter. Yeah.
yeah, a counselor. Asking for support is a sign of strength. Okay. So think about which of these, we've discussed, we've come to the end of the session. I just quickly want to do a quiz before we come to the close, but think about one or two strategies from everything we've discussed so far. What is it that you would like to start applying in your life? Whether it's related to social anxiety, whether it's related to people skills, building trust, right? So, yeah. And, as we come to the end, let's take a quick quiz to see what you have learned so far. Again, it's not a test, it's just to check our understanding and see whether we are on the same page. Okay. First one, very simple. Positive connections usually develop over time, not in one day.
Yes.
True. Yes, true, because trust also doesn't happen instantly. Regular positive interactions, okay, are required. Good listening is just as important as speaking. I think we have spoken enough about this, right? When we talk
Yeah.
about good communication skills, it's actually good listening, which is more important. If I don't understand instructions, I should stay quiet and guess.
False.
False. Yeah, it is always better to ask for clarification. Asking questions, saying I don't know, saying I didn't understand doesn't make you smaller or weaker. Okay, it shows responsibility. Being punctual shows respect for other people's time. Yeah, and everybody, I don't want you to just answer this as a yes in the quiz. It's something that I would like us to start practicing. Yeah, it shows your value in your co-workers, your supervisor, and keeping your commitments. Okay, so arrive before time, not just on time. Okay, just a few minutes before time. If you're committing to, and of course, in our day-to-day life, things happen. There may be delays, but inform beforehand. You're going to be delayed. Inform it. Say that I'm going to be 5 minutes delayed, 10 minutes. Typically, what do we do? If I'm going to be late, I don't answer calls. I start avoiding conversations, and it creates more stress, more tension for you, for the other person. So inform the other person and apologize beforehand. Okay. I should hide my mistakes as much as possible at work.
False.
Everyone make mistakes, right? So being
Yeah.
honest, taking responsibility, correcting the mistake is what builds trust. Okay. Respecting others' opinion is important when we disagree. Yes. Yeah, we don't have to agree with everyone, but we should communicate respectfully. Lastly, people skills improve with practice.
Yeah.
The most important message of today, right? Don't wait to become fully confident. Don't wait to become perfect. Don't wait to start working and then you will practice. You can do it here and now. Okay, small repeated steps. So again, think about, right, one people skill you want to practice this week. Keep it simple, keep it realistic. It could be just greeting people with a smile, you know. It could be anybody. You don't have to wait to just greet your boss or your colleagues, anybody. Or listening without interrupting, being on time or being before time, saying thank you, please, excuse me, taking slow breaths if you're nervous before speaking. Choose something that you feel you can easily start doing. Okay, don't try to change everything at once. Yeah, and
Commit
be
to being a better listener.
yes,
Although I'm not so bad, but we can always get better at what is so important in our lives. Yeah.
absolutely. And like I was mentioning, it's a journey. We all can keep improving. It's an ocean, right? There is never an end, right? And what matters is we keep trying. Yeah. So thank you everyone for your participation. Uh,
Thank you so much.
yeah, and yeah,
This was fantastic. This was really good. You reminded me of some such valuable lessons.
and like I said, I also learned so much in these sessions. So it's great. And, it's great to get into the layers and have these kind of discussions.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope this was useful for everybody who joined.